Hey, what's up? I'm Colby from Sanitarium Productions. Today we're taking a look at another G.I. Joe vehicle review. This time we're taking a look at one of the 2015 G.I. Joe Convention exclusive vehicles, the TigerForce version of the Tiger Hawk, which is basically a new repainted version of the Retaliation Eagle Hawk helicopter. And the Eagle Hawk, of course, is just the retooled, updated version of the 1986 Tomahawk helicopter. So we got the sealed in the bag from the convention Eagle Hawk here. Just figure we'll take this out of the bag, look at each part individually, put it together for you, and kind of go from there. So stick around, we'll tear into this thing. So here's the bag version of the Eagle Hawk helicopter. This is how it would have shipped from the factory, and you could have picked it up at the convention just like this. They don't do boxed versions of these vehicles for the convention. Just saves cost by putting them in bags. So yeah, this is pretty much how it comes. So it's taped up on one side, so we're just going to go ahead and cut the tape open and see what all we got in here. Two pieces of tape. Alright. So we have the main fuselage here. Then inside the bag we also have an accessory kit. Looks like it's got missiles and some of the covers and engine pieces and things like that. We also have the rotor blades for the spinny things, and a second accessory bag with the back half of the vehicle and a couple more of the landing gear pieces. So let's just cut from there, and we'll go take a look at each of these single bags and just look at the contents of it real quick, and then we'll get into actually putting this thing together. So first up we have just the first accessory kit here, which has some of the missiles and guns and engine covers and things like that. It's taped as well. So first thing we'll do is just to open the tape. Slice it open with our handy dandy X-Acto knife. And then just kind of pour it out here for everybody to see. So we have an engine cover and another engine cover, and this is the exhaust pipe. We've got the big turret gun. We've got one of the small Gatling guns that go inside the vehicle. Got two headsets for the figures. We've got the stands for the Gatling guns. We've got a bunch of these red missiles. Ooh, and looks like we actually have 4 headsets. One of the landing gears, a couple more missiles, missile launcher wing, a couple of the wings for the backside, and another exhaust pipe, another missile wing, and more missiles. Let's see if we can kind of straighten this out a little bit. So yeah, so this is everything that comes with the accessory kit here. So we've got a couple of these large missiles, which will go on the side. We'll take a look at them in a minute. There's 2 of those. One, two, three, four, five, 6 of these smaller missiles. Then we've got the landing gear. Quill spin. They are made of plastic and not rubber, but they spin really well, so it's cool. We've got the 2 side missile launcher wingy things, whatever you want to call them. The two back fins for, I guess, keeping the thing in the air and things like that. This one really big Gatling gun thing that does move. It's got a camera mounted in it, as well as the Gatling gun. That'll mount underneath the cockpit at the front. The exhaust pipes for the exhaust, of course. The cannons that go inside of the vehicle itself that you know, just turn and you shoot out the side of it that way, along with the stands for them. 2 of those. And then we've got actually 4 of these little headsets here. And these headsets are really cool. You can fit them over top of the head of the figures that you have for it, and they can use them as communication headsets and things like that. That's kind of cool. The original Eagle Hawk that came out with the Retaliation line, I want to say only had 2 of these headsets. So it's nice that they put 4 in here for this set. So, yeah, a bonus, I guess. And then, of course, the engine covers, 2 of those. So that is what's included with the accessory kit. We'll look at attaching everything here in a few minutes. So stick around. Here we have the second bagged accessory kit. Like the first one, it's just held together with some tape. Cut that open real quick. Let's see what's in here. We've got the landing gear and the side struts for support. And we have the rear, I don't know what you call this, but it's the rear piece that goes on, has the spinny thing on it and the rotors and things like that. So just taking a look at this right now. This rear rotor does spin completely, which is kind of cool, and it's got this little bitty, you can barely get your hand on it, but a little nub there where you can spin it. You just kind of twist it and it spins, so that's kind of cool. On the top, it's got the attachment for the rotor blades, and it spins pretty freely as well. Then this other exhaust piece on the back for the engine, the jet engine piece there, and that thing. Then the side mount pieces have the wheels on it. Again, these wheels are not rubber, they're just plastic. They do spin really well, and some nice detail work on both of these. And that's pretty much it for the second accessory kit. So yeah, we'll get these attached here in just a few minutes. The last accessory bag that we have has all of the actual helicopter blades held together with a piece of tape here. So let's just slice that open real quick and dump this out. You may want to keep this bag just to put this stuff back in if you're not going to display it put together. So remember that if you're ever looking at it. But so here are all the blades themselves, and we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rotor blades in total, and they're all the same. There's no difference in any of them. But if you take a look at them, there is some detail work up here at the top where it attaches to the actual rotor itself. Then everything else is pretty straightforward, pretty slick, and not much to it here. You will notice that there is a little imprint here. There's an A and a B. And I don't know that that's actually a 6 or a 9, whatever you want to call it. But there are 2 different sets in these. I'm not sure what the difference is, but because there doesn't really appear to be any difference whatsoever to me, other than some of them are stamped with an A. I guess that's a 4. And some of them are stamped with a 6 or a 9, depending on how you want to look at it. So yeah, I don't really know. Oh, actually, I am completely wrong here. Each of these are individually numbered. So this one here is number 7. and it's up here at the very top here, and you just barely make it out. I don't know if I can zoom in on that enough to get you to see that, or if I can turn it towards the light, but there's a little circle right here at the very top, right between the detail work, and that's where the number for the blade is stamped. So we have 10 individually numbered things. So this one right here is number 10. This one is either a 6 or a 9, so we'll call it a 6. Then we've got a number 7 and number 3 and another number 7, which is kind of weird, and another number 9 or 6 depending on how you look at it, number 8, number 4, a number 7, and a number 7. So I don't know if they just randomly pack these things together, or if there is actually some method to how they're packed in there, but they all do have unique numbers on them, and I don't know, but other than the number stamped on there, they are identical, so I wouldn't worry too much about that yourselves. So yeah, there's the rotor blades. So we'll start putting this thing together and see what it looks like. And here is the main hull, which is where we're going to start putting things on. Like I say, it's got some very nice detail work on it. The paint job on this thing is pretty awesome. Action feature wise, we have this really cool, well, we'll get to the action features when we get it put together, but yeah, so I'm going to start by just putting some of the wheels on it so it can stand up. So there's not any instructions or anything that comes with this, so you just kind of have to put it together yourself. Having put together one of the Eagle Hawks, I pretty much know where everything goes, but we'll try to explain this stuff as we go through it, but pretty much just grab a piece and start putting it together if you want to. I'm going to start with some of the wheel pieces. So this one right here is one of the side pieces that goes on the back, and luckily there's an airplane going by. Alright, sorry about that. So as I was saying, so the rear wheels that go on here, they will only fit in one way, so luckily it's pretty easy to match up. There are a couple of peg holes and some pegs for these things. So you've got a peg in the front, in the center, and on the back. And if you'll notice on the actual fuselage itself, there's an indentation here where this back piece will fit in. So what you'll want to do is match them up. And so, like I say, try to put this one on there and it won't fit. So this one doesn't go on this side, it goes on the other side. So let's grab the other one. Here's the other piece. As you can see, it's got kind of, looking at them two together, it's a little shorter on this one side than it is the other one. That's because it's got this little kind of cut piece in it, which allows you to get to the winch rotor, which will allow you to pull the winch up and down. But same thing as the other one, there are a couple of these big pegs that will just fit into these holes here. And all you got to do is just put it in place and snap it on. And it snaps in place pretty easily, just like that. We're going to flip it over and put on the other side. And same thing as before, line the pegs up with the peg holes and it just snaps in place. And voila, you've got the two rear wheels on there. And we'll go ahead and put the other wheel on there. Luckily it's only a one-piece deal, so looking at the bottom of this thing, this wheel will actually fit into this recessed hole right here. So there are these two latch notch looking nub things, that's actually what'll fit into here. And then on the end of it, there is another little notchy thing here, and on the rear, the side closest to the rear, there is another little just notch cut into the plastic there that will just fit into there like that. So all you got to do is just kind of snap it in place, and that's pretty much it. But for some reason this one fits really loosely. I don't know why that is. Shouldn't be quite that loose, which is odd. Should just snap in there, but for some reason it doesn't fit real well. There's really nothing that you can do about that, short of taking the whole thing apart. And of course there's some screws in there, but yeah, that's really weird. I would have thought it would just snap in place there, but it doesn't. So maybe I'm not pressing hard enough. Nope, it just really doesn't fit in there well. Alright, well maybe that's just a problem with just the one I have. Hopefully you don't have this issue, but we'll look into that a little bit later. So for the time being, we're going to put that to the side. You can still rest everything on there, so if you wanted to just hold it in place and then just put it will sit fine like that for you to put other pieces on. But yeah, that's really weird that it just comes off like that. So we'll set that to the side and come back to it. Strange. So the other piece that we have here, while we're just looking at the underside here, we've got this big old Gatling gun thing. It'll fit into this round recessed hole right here up front. And the big gun will go facing forward, of course. So you just kind of put it in place and push down on it until it snaps in place. You can turn it slightly, and I think there's supposed to be a groove somewhere on this thing where it would kind of line up and just kind of fit, but I'm just going to press really hard on it. You may or may not want to do that yourself, but that's pretty much what you got to do. Just press really hard on it, it'll snap in place. And then it'll turn and rotate up and down. So that's the gun. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at these exhaust pipes. There's two of these, and they are completely different as far as one of them has kind of a more circular shape to it. As far as how they attach, there are just these little latch knob tab things that will line up at the top up here with on the actual engine itself, and they'll just you just kind of put them like this and press on them, and they'll latch in place. Luckily though, the patterns on these knobs are different. So one side has 3 knobs at the back, and one side has 2 knobs. So the one with the 2 knobs, which is this flat one here, is the one that will go on the side. What is this? The passenger side, I guess is the best way of looking at it. I don't know plane terminology or anything like that. So passenger side. And like I say, so there are just these tab holes, and you just kind of press them in place and just snap it on there, and it just snaps in real easy like. Then flip it over to the other side, and we're going to do the same thing again. This one, which is kind of the circular one, has 3 tabs on it instead of 2. And as you can see here, there are well, I guess one of them isn't a tab actually, but it won't fit on the other one, so put it in place. So the circular one will go on the driver's side, the flat one will go on the passenger side, and then just snap in place just like that. So, and that's what it looks like from the top and from the side. So that is the exhaust pipes. So while we're on the exhaust, let's go ahead and take a look at the engine covers themselves. So we have 2 of them. And again, they will only go on one side, not both sides. So the easiest thing to do is, if you look at the front of it, there is this round part that clamps underneath the spinny propeller bladey thing. So you'll want to match that up, would be the easiest way to do it. So we take this one here and try to put it up here. It doesn't line up. So we'll know that goes on the other side. Then to attach them, there are these 2 tab spots right here, hinge joints I guess I would call them. And then on the actual covers themselves, there are the 2 hinges. And all you got to do is just kind of put them, start them, and just kind of press them into place, and they'll just snap in there. You may want to start with the front ones first, just because you got a little bit more play on the rear. It's a little bit more, you got a little bit more play in that, so you can kind of press on it a little bit, although not much. So pretty much just put them in wherever you can get them, and just press down on them really hard to get them to latch in. Doesn't seem to be any real easy way to do this other than just manhandling it. There it goes. And it just snaps into place. Then it kind of just folds up over top of the engine itself like that. And it also allows for the exhaust pipes to kind of exhaust out into the open air. So we're just going to flip this over and do the same thing for the other side. Match up your circular half moon shape with the front of the spinny propeller thing, and then just kind of stick these things into place on these hinge joints. And that one snapped in place a lot easier than the other one. Then if you'll notice here, on one side of this, so there are these other tabs and the tab holders. So when you put them together, those 2 tabs kind of overlap, and that's what latches it in place so it doesn't fall apart. That's how that works. So pretty straightforward. Next thing we're going to look at is these rear wingy things. So there are 2 of these, and they will go only on one side, not both sides. So if you look at the side that actually has the pegs on them, and look at the shape of it, it's skinnier on one end than it is the other end. And then they actually attach here on the back, and the place where they attach to is also formed in that manner. So match up the skinny side with the skinny side on here, then the pegs will just lock into the peg holders. So you just kind of press on it and it just snaps in place just like that. Flip this thing around to the other side and it works the same way. Find the skinny end and just press it in place until it snaps. Like that. Perfect. And that is the wingy things. Whatever you want to call them. And since we're on wingy things, we'll go ahead and get these missile launcher wings. Same principle applies here. They are only meant to go on one way, and the easiest way to figure out which side it needs to go on is to find the skinny end and match it up on the side. These will actually go on the front here. So find the skinny end here and just press it into place, and it just snaps in there like that. Our missiles will be attaching to those joints here in a few moments. Flip it around to the other side. Match up the skinny end with the skinny end there, and just snap it in place. Voila! Now we have all our wings on there. The last big piece that we got to worry about is the rear propeller housing unit. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can get a better shot, since this thing is kind of long. Then we've got this big propeller piece, and it has this kind of I don't know. It looks like a funny man here. So here's his eyes, and he's grinning at us. So this will just fit into the rear of this. There's just a big opening back here, and on mine it looks like this thing is not fully in place the right way, which may be why we're having issues with the landing gear. But as you can see here on the back of mine, it's not fully connecting. I don't know if that just needs a screw tightened up on it, or if something was actually not lined up right to begin with. So I may take this apart here sometime and fix that, but no big deal right now. So just take this, it will just slide into place and just latches just like that. Very simple, easy. And then you have, other than the landing gear piece that doesn't work, fully assembled except for the propeller blades, Eagle Hawk. We got a couple of accessory pieces to put on here now. So let's go ahead and dive into that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on it since it's a little bit more up close. So hold on a moment. So the next thing we're going to put together is the machine gun turrets. And it comes in two pieces. So we're going to put together just the piece first here. So there is a peg hole in the bottom of this spindly thing here, and then a peg there. So you just kind of line those up and just snap them into place, and then that just allows that to rotate. So once you've done that, we're just going to take that, and in the inside of the open spot here, and I don't know how well you can see this on the camera, but down here in the bottom there is this peg hole where this peg piece here will attach. So all you're going to do is just kind of just put it in here and just press down on it, and it'll just snap in place just like that. And that just allows that to turn and rotate and do whatever you want to. And there's one on each side, so just flip it around. We're going to do the same thing for the back here. Get our machine gun and the stand for it, and just pop those two pieces together. Make sure it rotates good. Then take this and find that little hole down here in the bottom and press it into place. And voila, you've got two armed machine guns now. So if you want to take a look inside while we are looking at it, you'll see the seating here. There's seating for 5 figures in there. And I don't know how well you can see that, but there's one seat up in the very front, and then 4 seats here on the back. There are also peg holes for their feet here on the back, here in the front. The original Tomahawk had the backpack pegs on it, so you would attach them to the seating using the backpack peg. They've opted for the floor pegs on these things. Not really sure why, but that's what they did, so that's how they work. Next up, we're just going to attach the missiles. So we're going to take one of the big red missiles, and there's just the regular dumbbell pegs on them, and they're just going to fit at the bottom here underneath where the figures sit, and it just snaps into place there. So there's two of those, one on each side. Just kind of work it in until it snaps in place like that. So now we're going to take these small missiles, and they work kind of the same way. There's the regular dumbbell kind of latch system that they use here, and the way they work is they actually fit underneath the little wingy thing here. Let me see if I can focus in on that. There we go. So we're just going to take them, and there are 3 dumbbell pegs on each of these wings, and you just attach each of them, 3 on each side. And there you have the 3 missiles there. So looks kind of cool. Let's go ahead and swap sides here real quick and get the other missiles attached. Let's see if we can balance this thing here. So the big missile attaches to the bottom here, and then the 3 smaller missiles attach up here. 1, 2, and 3. That's what it looks like from the bottom. So the last thing we have to attach are the rotor blades. There are 10 of those. Just turn this thing around here. And they will attach to these points here. And there's really not any right way, wrong way to kind of go about doing this. You just kind of do it. And I don't know which of these is the top and which is the bottom. What I'm going to assume is that, so if you look real closely at these rotor blades, there's a slight indentation from the assembly process, I'm assuming. The little circular indents on one side of the blades. I'm going to say that that is going to be the bottom, simply because it would look kind of weird having it on top. I would notice it anyways. So we're going to flip that over so that those circular indentations there are on the bottom, which means that the little L hook thing will be facing the front of the Tomahawk helicopter. So all you got to do to get these attached, you just line them up with the front of this, and you just press them in place, and they just snap in there like that. Very simple. So you want 5 on the front and 5 on the rear. Keep them all going the same way. And they just snap in there like that. You just kind of have to wiggle them a little bit, then just shove them in there. They're not real flimsy, but they are a little bit flimsy, so don't try cutting them in half or anything like that. Just kind of put them in place and go from there. And voila, we got the front side all fixed up. As you can see, it turns really easily. I can't make a helicopter sound effect, but that's pretty much that. Flip it around to the other side to do the rear, and it works the same way. we want to keep them turning the same way also. So just, again, find that little circular thing on them and flip that to the bottom, and then just attach them just like you did the front ones. You will notice when you do this, though, well, you won't notice anything, so it's fine. Snap it in place. We'll get to the thing I was going to mention in just a minute. Just snap them in place. If they get off a little bit, just kind of push them forward to get them to snap in the right location. Like that one. Just move it forward with your thumb. And now you've got your other one locked and loaded and ready to go. I can push this forward without hitting the camera stand. I can't. There. Spins relatively easily. Then if you're able to look at them both, just like this, then they both spin at the same time. They will slap each other sometimes. Cool. That's pretty much it. Everything else is pretty much already done for you, so there's no stickers to attach or anything like that. You're pretty much already ready to go. One of the things I will point out about the rotor blades real quick while we're here, you can rotate them to all be pointing in one direction, more or less. So they do fold up, basically, is what I'm saying. So if you're worried about, you know, shelf space and things like that, or transport, you can always flip them up like this way, and it saves a little bit of the headroom on it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll take a look at some of the action features here in just a moment. Quick size comparison here. We've got our handy dandy beachhead figure that shows up in most of our reviews here. To do a quick scale comparison here. So this vehicle is fairly large. It doesn't exactly fit on the screen without me moving my tripod a little bit more. But as you can see, 4-inch figure here. This thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 5 figure lengths long and about 2 figure lengths wide, give or take. So it's a fairly large vehicle. It's a nice scale for a helicopter. If I can turn this to the side here. Without causing too much trouble. Show you a couple of the action features. Bear with me while I get the blades attached the right way. Alright. Okay, so I'll have to hold this thing for a minute. Action feature wise, it will hold, as we said, 5 figures in the back. It has the articulated Gatling gun cannons. It has this really handy dandy winch hook tow rope thingy. Lots of missiles. This cool gun at the front. And one thing we've not looked at yet is the cockpit. So it just opens just like that. You just kind of push in. It's kind of flexible plastic, so you just kind of press in at the top, and it folds out like that. Then in the cockpit, you've got room for 2 figures, and they've got these cool little joysticks here to drive with. As you can see here with Beachhead, he fits in the cockpit relatively easily. May have to extend his legs a little bit to get him to go in there the right way. And then just kind of press down on him. He sits in there just fine. So 3 3/4 inch figures, the 4-inch figures that we are used to nowadays, will fit in this thing just perfectly. One of the cool things I'll point out real quick while we're monkeying around here with Beachhead. If I can get him to come out. I showed you the headsets earlier, but how they work. Let me zoom in real quick on that. Okay, so how these things work, you just take them and they're real soft plastic and they just fit over top of the figures' heads, just like that. And then they've got a little microphone on them so they can sit in the cockpit and talk to each other, sit in the back and talk to each other and things like that. So it's kind of cool. I usually just drop those in somewhere else. Again, there's 4 of those in this thing. So it should be plenty of room to accommodate all your figures. They can all talk to one another if you want them to. Zoom them back out real quick. A couple of the other action features. So we mentioned the winch. On the side here, there is this spinny wheel thing. You just trying to get this set so you can see the action feature as I actually. You just turn the wheel, and it. As you can see, it just kind of pulls it back up into it, and you just pull it back out, and it rotates back out. And turn the wheel and it pulls up. So that's kind of cool. On the rear of this thing, you've got this hatch that opens, and there are some foot pegs on it, so your figures can stand on it while it's being deployed, or they can parachute out, or however you want to do it. And it just folds back up in there like that. Let's see if I can get a better shot. It's the little latch here at the top, folds down, latches back in place. So yeah, a lot of cool action features on here. If you're a fan of the original Tomahawk helicopter, it has all the same features, so it should not come as a surprise to any of y'all that have that. Or same thing for the Eagle Hawk. If you already have the Eagle Hawk, it's going to have the same action features. So pretty much, yeah, it's the Tomahawk helicopter updated for the new line, so not much else you can say about it other than it's pretty awesome. So and here we have the completed 2015 G.I. Joe Convention exclusive TigerForce Tigerhawk helicopter. This is a pretty awesome vehicle. It's, again, a repaint of the Retaliation Eagle Hawk helicopter, which is a retooled, updated version of the original Tomahawk helicopter. And it's pretty much just awesome. Not much else to say about it other than it is awesome. The color scheme on this thing works really well. In the front, it's got kind of enough of the shading from the original Eagle Hawk kind of color scheme here to know that that's kind of what they were going for, and they kind of repainted everything else. It's got a nice, tiger looking facey thing on the front of it. The stripes on the back are done really nicely. All the paint apps for the TigerForce emblems and things like that have been done really well. The stickers, probably you couldn't get them to go on and attach as well as they do here. I know that's one of the main issues I had with the original Eagle Hawk, was the fact that the stickers don't line up really well, and with all the tooling and just detail work on the thing, the stickers just don't attach very well to a lot of these places. So with the paint that they put on here, you kind of skirt around that issue. So yeah, plenty of room in here for all your figures, all your troops, lots of play features. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. This thing's a little bit pricey right now. I think there were only like 600 of these made. And they were all only available at the convention itself, so you'll have to go to third-party eBay if you want to get some now. But the prices are pretty high right now. I got a decent deal on mine, so I'm happy with it, but it may be one of those things that you may want to wait a while before you get a hold of it. Hopefully the price will come down at some point, but considering it is a limited edition, I wouldn't look for that to happen. So if you can get one and you really want one, you need to pick it up. Again, I like the color scheme on it. It is just a repainted version of the Eagle Hawk helicopter. I'll say that up front. It's a nicely repainted version of the Eagle Hawk, but it is still the Eagle Hawk. When you can get the Eagle Hawk itself for $50 thereabouts, this thing is probably upwards of about $200 or so right now. Most of me would lean towards not trying to pay the outrageous prices on it and just get another Eagle Hawk if you don't have one already. But for those of us that are crazy and enjoy things like this, it's a pretty cool investment. It's nice. The TigerForce version of the convention set is a nice little touch. It's a nice little something extra that was not released at retail. So I like it. It is what it is. My particular one had a problem with the landing gear that I'm going to try to fix at some point. Hopefully nobody else has really had that problem. Other than that, I really don't have any complaints about this thing. It's a great vehicle. So that's pretty much all I got to say for this one. If you have suggestions for us, send us a comment down below. Feel free to subscribe below if you haven't already. Tell your friends about us. Have them subscribe too. Yeah, take a look at some of the other videos. Send us ideas for what you want to see in future episodes. And that's pretty much all we got for today. So until next time, Yo Joe.